And welcome back to Wake Up Call from the Gunco Arms Studios. On the phone with me right now, Texas Governor Greg Abbott. Governor, good morning.
Good morning. Great to visit with you, and great to visit with the folks of my hometown in Wichita Falls, Texas.
Yes, you are a native of Wichita Falls, and we appreciate you taking time with us this morning. We'll get right into it. You've called a special session, which I felt like a couple of weeks ago that probably was going to happen. And you did announce that yesterday, and you've got a list of 20 items that you want the legislature to get back to work on in this special session, right?
And that's exactly right. And for your listeners, the way this usually works, the Texas Legislature is in regular session only 140 days every 2 years.
Right.
And I know a whole bunch of people would prefer that we be in regular session just 2 days every 140 years. So it's a short amount of time, and if they don't finish up business in that short amount of 140 days,
right,
then we need to call them back and have them finish their work. This is something that happens very frequently, and so this is nothing unusual. It's just a matter of continuing the process and actually getting some votes on some very important pieces of legislation.
Well, a couple of things on the list here that I'd like to hit on here. School Finance Reform Commission. Now, the school finance has been an endless argument, it seems like, since the inception of this republic. We just go on and on about it. What's this all about with the School Finance Reform Commission?
Well, first, if I can explain one reason why it has been an endless argument. If you drill down to it, always the root of it is that you have a whole bunch of lawyers making money off of it. Lawyers literally make millions of dollars every time they sue all the state of Texas on behalf of the school districts, and because of that, every few years they're going to be filing lawsuits to try to make even more money. Right. All that said is we do know that after this last litigation, those lawyers lost. And so there was no mandate that we take up school finance reform. However, we all know that it does need to be fixed. We all know we need to do a better job of both financing and structuring our school and our school finance system in the state of Texas. So what we did during the regular session, there was a great piece of legislation offered up that I strongly supported that creates a commission that will allow us to work on school finance reform for the next year and a half so that we can have a great proposal the next time we come into a regular session in 2 Januaries from now. Because school finance is so complicated, it cannot be taken care of in just 1 month or a couple of months. We will appoint a commission of the best and brightest people who can not just study it, but come up with very strong recommendations about how we can truly reform the school finance system. And so that's what this proposal does. This proposal, like so many others, just got caught up in the lack of time, the poor calendaring of these issues, and never got the vote that it needed to have.
Along those same lines, talking about education, a teacher pay increase of $1,000. Is that an annual increase for every teacher in Texas? How's that going to work?
This may be the first time in a long, long time that a governor has called for paying our teachers more. Our teachers do a great job, and there are some people out there who may want to be a teacher, but they don't become a teacher because the pay is not high enough. I believe that we need to have the best and brightest in our classrooms, and so I want to pay our teachers more money. And this would be an annual pay raise because of where we are in the timing of it. It would kick in the second year of our upcoming 2-year budget. But this would be something where teachers going forward would be making at least $1,000 a year more.
Property tax reform, Governor, that's also on your list for this special session, and that's a hot-button issue for just about everybody across the state, is property taxes.
It is. I was speaking a couple of nights ago in Belton, Texas, which is over in central Texas near Temple. Yeah. And so my point is that it's a town maybe about the size of Wichita Falls. Yeah. And when I spoke about the issue of property taxes, there was an audible groan in the entire room because people have kind of had it up to here with regard to their property taxes. And here again, there was a proposal to put a lid on those property taxes during the regular session. It never received a vote in the Texas House of Representatives, and I'm calling them back to make sure we get a vote on this. On this item, and really all these items except for teacher pay, there were bill proposals that came up during the course of the session and never received a vote either on the House or the Senate side. And so we're not having to start from scratch. The bills already exist on all of these issues. I'm just saying, listen, you guys need to take a vote on it. We need to know, one, where you stand, but two, we need to try to get it passed for the people of Texas, especially on this property tax issue, so that we can lower the property taxes of the people across the state of Texas.
Governor, municipal annexation reform. A lot of people are talking about annexation around here right now because there are grumblings, or if you want to call it that, or rumors within the city of Wichita Falls that the city is going to annex more property soon. What's this all about on the annexation reform? Well,
the way it operates right now, I call it piracy by government, because what the annexing entity does is that they will reach out and grab property that's not a part of the city, and they do so without the vote of the people who are being annexed. And so this is taxation without representation in the classic way. And what we're saying is that before people living in homes and living in areas that are going to be annexed, they deserve a right to vote on whether or not the annexation should take place.
Amen to that. One of the things that's not on your list, Governor, if we have just a moment here to cover that, I know your time is short with us this morning, but one of the things that's not on the list, and I hope you can kind of bring us up to speed on, is border security. I know we talked a lot about this during the Obama administration. You and I have talked about this in a couple of past interviews about what Texas could or could not do in terms of border security if the federal government would not do their part. Of course, Mr. Trump, President Trump, has promised a border wall and more border security initiatives, but there are a lot of people and organizations trying to get in the way of that. Where do we stand in the state of Texas right now on border security? What's our plan? What's your plan?
Right. The reason why it's not on the special session call is because we did take care of it during the regular session.
Okay.
Texas passed this year what we also passed in my first legislative session as governor, and that is the toughest, the broadest, the strongest border security plan of any state. Texas is now, during my 2 years, or two legislative sessions as governor, we're spending well over $1 billion, almost $2 billion, to add more law enforcement personnel, to add technology down there that will help us detect whenever anybody comes across the border, to provide more boats on the water to interdict cross-border activity, and to provide airplanes where we spot exactly what is going on the ground and radio that immediately to the people on the ground who can take action. But altogether, Texas has the most robust, the strongest border defense team of any state in the United States of America.
One thing on your list here, Governor, preventing cities from regulating what property owners do with trees on private land. Now, that one left me scratching my head here. What's that all about?
It would leave you scratching your head, because I have to assume this is not a rule in Wichita Falls, Texas.
Okay.
It is a rule in Austin, Texas, and I've lived in Austin, Texas for 20 years as a Supreme Court judge, as Attorney General, and now as governor. And so I've seen this firsthand. When you buy your property, let's say you're a homeowner and you buy a piece of property, or you're a rancher or whatever, you buy a piece of property, you think you own that piece of property and everything on it. Not in Austin, Texas, and not in some of these other cities. In Austin, Texas, if you want to cut down a tree, you got to get a permit from Austin, Texas, and they oftentimes will deny it. And then if you want to cut down that tree, they will make you spend the money, thousands of dollars, to plant 3 or 4 more other trees. And so this is really it's like socialistic policy, saying that you do not own your own private property. And this is completely against the Constitution of the state of Texas. It's against the rule of law and the rule of private property rights in this state. And I'm not going to have it anymore. And so if you buy your own property, if you're a private property owner, by God, you own your own property, including everything on it, and no city can take it away from you.
Amen to that. Well, you extrapolate that argument into the property taxes. A lot of people will argue that paying property taxes basically makes you a tenant of the county and the state, that you really don't own the property. You're paying rent for it, even though you have a title to it. So,
and that is our exact argument. Yeah, you're a renter from the local appraisal board.
Yeah,
and it's something that must stop.
Amen to that. Texas Governor Greg Abbott, I thank you for taking time with us this morning. The special session will kick off on what day? On
July the 18th, this coming summer. The way it works is that by law, it lasts for 30 days. But they have 6 weeks to get prepared for it. Bills already exist on almost all of these items, and we today are in the process of getting sponsors for these bills. We're going to get this going real quick, long before the special session even begins, so that we can start and move quickly and get these pieces of legislation passed.
Wonderful. Texas Governor Greg Abbott, thank you so much for taking time with us. We look forward to having you back on the program again soon, sir.
Thank you. Take care of my hometown of Wichita Falls, Texas.